quack.
We lost a few games. Tough. That was District 5. Now we're the Ducks.
Yeah.
And the Ducks are undefeated.
All right. Yeah.
Quack. Quack. Quack.
Quack.
Quack.
Quack.
Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack. Quack.
Oh, yeah.
Welcome in. We don't have an intro for this yet because this is a new iteration of our movie review series. A little over a year ago, we launched Action Movie Rewind. We did about 45 action movies. We're going to definitely go back to Action Movie Rewind at some point. The masses were also clamoring for us to expand our horizons, so we did a handful of rom-com rewinds, and that's been a blast, and we will also keep doing those. But it's been a year since we dove into the movie review business here on Mackey and Judd, and we have yet to review a true sports movie. There's been some rom-coms with sports themes and an NBA Finals rom-com and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah. Sacramento Kings against the Knicks in the NBA Finals.
But we have yet to actually dive into a sports movie review. And so consider this the launch of Mackey and Judd's sports movie review. And Declan, if you you cut me off with a soundbite at any point here. Mighty Ducks, the original Mighty Ducks from 1992, a Minnesota-based sports movie classic.
District 5 Pee Wee hockey team. I'm Gordon Bombay. I'm the new coach.
Yeah, right.
Afraid so, dude. Got the roster right here. Averman, Dave, Conway, Charlie, Paul, Terry. Now here's the long and the short of it. I hate hockey and I don't like kids.
This is supposed to be a pep talk.
Look, I'm sure this will be a real bonding experience. And maybe one day, one of you will even write a book about it in jail.
Funny.
Is there a goalie?
Only for a little while. I'm moving back to Philly.
Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
All right, get out on the ice. Let me see what you can do. A leave of absence? He can't do that. He can't stop me from working.
He's not. I am. That was my condition. Gordon, you need a break. You're too wrapped up in your work.
Sir, my work is my life.
That's just my point. The community service will do you good. It'll teach you compassion, a sense of fair play, and how to fit in.
Community service? This is horrible.
You'll get used to it. And hopefully you'll come back a better person and a better attorney, which is why I'm keeping you on salary and have arranged a driver for you.
Gentlemen, after reckless young lawyer Gordon Bombay, played by Emilio Estevez, gets arrested for drunk driving, he must coach a kids' hockey team for his community service. Gordon has experience on the ice, but he's not super eager to return to hockey, a point hit home by his tense dealings with his own former coach, Jack Riley, played by Lane Smith. The reluctant Gordon eventually grows to appreciate his team, which includes promising young Charlie Conway, played by Josh Jackson, later on famous for being in Dawson's Creek, and leads them to take on Riley's tough players, the Hawks. Only 23% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is
Very
just a
low.
travesty. The critics' consensus on Rotten Tomatoes says the Mighty Ducks has feel-good goals, but only scores a penalty shot for predictability.
Oh, boy.
$14 million budget turned into $51 million at the box office, so it was pretty successful.
Yep.
Emilio Estevez, Josh Jackson, Jussie Smollett was in this. He was in that. He had a huge controversy where he faked getting assaulted.
I didn't know he was in this movie.
Yeah. He was.
Oh,
he was
man.
one of the kids on the team.
Kids, yeah.
This movie was directed by Stephen Herrick, who also directed Mr. Holland's Opus, 101 Dalmatians, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, The Three Musketeers, and Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead. So great little run in the
great
early 90s.
movie. Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead's fantastic.
So this was the first. Now, Declan, you've seen this before?
Plenty of times. Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Numerous times. It's been
I've
a few
seen
years,
this a million times, and we also might have to do D2 and D3 at some point. And the new series just came out on Disney Plus. But this was Judd Zulgad. Judd Zulgad, noted hockey obsessor and enthusiast.
Slapshot. Love Slapshot, the movie, yes.
Lifelong Minnesotan. So, two things that are themes in your life. And you've never seen the Mighty Ducks until this week. So we'll start with Judd. Your key takeaway from this movie.
Well, first of all, in my defense, I was 22-ish when this came out, and this is not exactly a film for a 22-year-old who is young and going to bars. And
what do you mean? There's a ton of drinking in this movie. A little too much, actually.
Well, yeah. First of all, Gordon Bombay, you didn't just drink and drive. You were swerving all over the place, and you were completely. I love the fact that he's going like 80 miles an hour downtown or something.
In a blizzard,
like,
by the way.
Yeah, and he's drinking and he's swerving, and he's a lawyer, and he doesn't think to himself, I really should slow down and probably shouldn't be drinking with an open bottle right now.
Actually, since you brought that up, can we just get right into that? Because that's one of my main takeaways from this movie, too, is that he might be the worst and dumbest buzzed driver of all time. Like, you should not be drunk driving and buzz driving. He has
loaded.
an open bottle of beer that he's just pounding. And
Which he throws in the back.
Throws in the back. He's cranking music. He's swerving in and out. He's going too fast. And it's a blizzard outside. I mean, what is wrong with him?
Yeah.
So my takeaway is this, though, and it gets back to the central character in said film. Gordon Bombay is a tortured soul who has no idea who he is, and he doesn't need community service. He needs intense therapy, okay? Intense therapy. First of all, throughout the entire film, he rides a roller coaster of emotion that's not healthy. Like at the first part, he's a jerk to the kids, and then he softens up. But then as soon as things turn against him, he sort of becomes a jerk again, and then he softens up. He's an immature brat. So that's one thing. The other thing is he has no clue what he's doing with his entire life, to the point of he coaches a peewee hockey team. Okay, that's cool. Peewee hockey team. He's a former really good peewee player from 1973. So if we extrapolate this and say that was 1973, and now he's a lawyer in present day, which I think was supposed to be 1992.
91 is when the movie
or 91.
was filmed. Yeah.
Okay. And so he is now going to go for a minor league hockey tryout at the end? Like, dude, you just coached a peewee team. You haven't you haven't played in years, and you supposedly quit playing.
He scored like 190 goals in a peewee season, man. He's
right
Gordon
in
Bombay.
1973. This is like 18 years after. Anyway, the point
Fast hands don't leave you. The fast hands don't leave you.
Anyway, Gordon Bombay has no bleeping clue what he's doing in life. He needs help, and he shouldn't be around children because he's going to screw them up too. And so my takeaway was this character, incredibly flawed, messed up, needed help. The last thing that he should have been doing at the end was getting on a bus to go to some like American Hockey League or International Hockey League
get into that.
tryout. Yeah.
I will give you.
That's all I got for him.
He is very codependent, and you'll see in future Ducks movies, which we will review at least one more future Ducks movie because the themes get even more ridiculous. But there is at one point he like gets slicked back hair and gets all like he becomes nationally famous and he rides the roller coaster of life. I think he could maybe read a book or two about stoicism and meditation and just
Can I say this too?
A little bit.
So I actually went back and looked at the background of this film itself to find out where it started and stuff. The problem that this film had was this. It was written as a serious film. Like it was supposed to be, the Bombay character was supposed to be messed up. And then Disney bought it. And they're like, oh no, has to be a family film.
They're
and
like,
keep in mind too, you guys, keep in mind too, the North Stars, Norm Green wanted to move the North Stars around this time to Anaheim. Mm-hmm. And he was going to. And the league stopped him and basically said, you can go anywhere but there because this film was so successful that the Mighty Ducks, they were bound and determined to launch a team with Disney involved in the league, which they did.
And they did. And so just real quick on that note, so the league launched the Mighty Ducks off the back of this movie like a year or two later. Yes, and instead of paying an entry fee to the league, like when an expansion team comes in, like whenever the next NBA team comes in, whether it's in Las Vegas or in Seattle, they're going to pay like a $200 million entrance fee, and then that'll be spread across the owners. So Anaheim paid a $50 million fee just to the LA Kings so that they could be in the backyard and not. It was sort of a, hey, we're sorry, Kings. We're gonna put a team in your backyard. So yeah. Anyways, Declan, what was your main takeaway from this movie?
All right, so it's been a few years since I've seen this movie. I've seen it, a dozen of times. My main takeaway is this, and it struck me the first opening scene, and then I was struggling with it throughout the course of the film, and I'm going to have to defer to Phil for this conversation. My main takeaway was I couldn't tell if Judd was more like Coach Riley or Coach Bombay. So, Coach Riley. Coach Riley.
Well,
You missed this shot, kid? You're not just letting the team down, you're letting me down too. Like he is just imposing his will on like an 8-year-old who, by the way, his dad died. Like he is tough love, dude. He is just a hard ass. And this clip even too, when they're confronted with one another.
Bunch of losers. That's right, Coach. They are losers. We hate losers, don't we? They don't even deserve to live. Maybe you're right. Maybe Banks won't make a difference. But at least we're playing by the rules.
Why'd you turn against me, Gordon? For 6 years, I taught you how to skate. I taught you how to score. I taught you how to go for the W. You could have been one of the greats. And now look at yourself. You're not even a has-been. You're a never was.
Great line.
Those kids not understanding sarcasm in that moment is one of the most infuriating parts of the movie.
I've got notes on that too. That's yes.
So I think
Terrible
it is
writing.
more Coach Riley, but then Bombay, right? Like Bombay also teaches the kids faking injuries, right? There's some little help that he needs to get his life back. I see some Judd Zolgad and Coach Bombay as well.
Well, the coaching kids how to cheat, to me, I loved it. I thought it was brilliant. And then they're like all mad about I don't cheat. Oh, bleep you!
You're terrible. Yeah.
This guy's a lawyer, and this guy's a lawyer. He's showing you shortcuts.
That opening scene when he meets the kids and he asks who's the goalie, and he goes, it's me, Coach, but I'm moving to Philly. Won't be here long. Thank you for sharing. Like I can see Judd coaching a Pee Wee team.
But that's
he
the
never
thing
moves
is,
either.
if you tell me if you're a fat kid and you're going to move.
Yeah. So my main takeaway was I saw Judd Zolgad in both, and I was trying to figure out
I'm
if
not
he was
Coach Riley. No, because I wouldn't. No. That guy is a psychotic competitor. I'm not. I'm more of a.
I think if you were a coach, I don't think you'd be exactly like either one, but I think you would be super impatient with incompetent people. And so you would definitely get super mad at like some of the players that make mistakes, and you would.
I'd be Herb Brooks.
Yeah.
Again.
So yeah, my main takeaway was I saw a lot of Judd Zolgad in the first 5 minutes of this film. I saw it in both of them.
All right, my main takeaway from this movie is that this might be the greatest coaching job in hockey history.
Yeah, I got notes.
Okay,
on
let's think about about how just creative and brilliant Gordon Bombay is at maximizing a roster. You want to talk about like Kevin Cash and before he went to the Dodgers, Andrew Friedman with the Rays, just taking ragtag waiver claim players and drafted players and 8th-round picks and winning 90 games every year. Mm-hmm. I mean, this dude, he invents the flying V and scores a huge goal in the championship game.
I got thoughts on that. Wait for it.
And teaches them how to cross the blue line without being offsides, which is great. The creativity. He brings figure skaters to a hockey team for more mobility, for more speed, and for the distraction factor. He teaches Fulton Reed how to skate just enough to rip that slap shot in key moments.
Which you never see. Which you never see.
You saw it twice. Two big moments.
Twice. What are you talking about?
But you never see him like teach him. He just basically
Well, they had him skating
the
around.
Window.
They had him skating in the skyways downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah, on rollerblades.
Yeah, but they skated. He was at hockey practice with them too, skating through the cones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure.
He turns Goldberg. He instills confidence in Goldberg and Charlie Conway. And I mean, I would say just the creativity and the genius of Gordon Bombay. It's pretty amazing that he actually wasn't coaching earlier in life. I mean, how tormented he must have felt. But this is one of the great coaching jobs in hockey history.
Wow.
Miracle or this? Who was better?
Herb Brooks had better players, man.
The better coaching job.
Herb Brooks had the best amateur players
Kurt Russell
in the world.
Or Emilio Estevez?
It's my Mount Rushmore of hockey coaches. Those two are on it for sure. Yeah. Okay, what was your favorite thing about the Mighty Ducks, Judd?
Oh, this is easy. This is a slam dunk, boys. February 29th, 1992 was the date that the Minnesota North Stars played host to the Hartford Whalers. A 5-4 overtime loss when the kids, when they attend the game, yes, that is the Whale that they're playing. And there's actually good scenes from that. They clearly went and shot a ton from that game. And unlike splicing together, let's say, the Knicks-Kings game that was, absolutely a garbage game, and then trying to sell it as the NBA Finals, they do a very nice job of basically saying, hey, it's the present for the kids being successful. He takes them to this game at the Met, which is great. And then the second part that I love, too, was the brief appearance by former North Stars Basil McRae and Mike Modano.
McRae was he was a goon, right?
Yes, but I mean, but I love. So McRae has lines about, aren't you Gordon Bombay? You're a legend, blah blah blah. And Mike Modano was probably around 20 at the time, and his line is, "I heard you were a farmer.
you were a farmer.
I heard you were a farmer." And he delivers it as stiff as you possibly can.
And I thought
that was great.
The writing in this movie was questionable to say the least. But
yes.
I think one of the themes throughout the movie was supposed to be, people like remembering him as a hockey player and then misremembering what he does for a living, right? Because at one point someone said he was a doctor and then a farmer.
Yeah, but the thing about it too is that Basil McRae grew up in Canada. Gordon Bombay was a legend, supposedly Pee-wee, I believe, in Minnesota. Mm-hmm. Basil McRae wouldn't have heard of Gordon Bombay under any circumstance. What do you mean? And did you guys see during the course of the North Stars Whalers game the boards at the Met? Because
Kmart, there's a Kmart.
There was a Kmart ad. There was also a 1500 KSTP AM.
Wow.
Because they carried the games back then.
We carried the games, yeah.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Al called the games on our station. So yes, there was a station ad on the boards at Met Center.
Hey, Gordo. Gordon Bombay, right? You remember me? Sure, from Pee-wee's. This guy used to rule in Pee-wee's.
Oh, yeah? I heard you're a farmer.
Actually, I became a lawyer. But I'm coaching Pee-wee now, and this is my team, the Ducks. Ducks, this is Basil McRae and Mike Modano.
We didn't know.
All right.
Hey, Ducks, listen to this guy. He knows what he's talking about. If you ever want a shot, let me know. I'll get you a tryout in the minor league club.
Thanks.
Hey, nice seeing you.
This is nearly 20 years after he played Pee-wee, and Basil McRae's just like, yeah. And I love how the kids mail in their lines. Kids, this is Basil McRae and Mike Modano. And they said, hey, kids, clamor about that. Oh, sorry, okay. That was the most mailed-in sequence.
Hilarious. All right, Dex, what was your favorite part of this movie?
I think a lot of people who love this movie know this fact, and it might even be in your factoids towards the end of this, as we usually like to do. But Connor Banks, he lives at 450.
Adam Banks.
Adam Banks. I said Connor Banks. Yeah, Adam Banks lives at 450 North Hennepin Avenue. Did you guys Google where 450 North Hennepin Avenue is?
I thought about it.
I did, and at the time when they shot this film, it was a parking lot.
Yeah, so it's right now it's the intersection of the light rail at 5th. It's 5th and Hennepin.
So it's right downtown.
Right in the heart of downtown.
So it's right across from the Loon, basically.
Yeah.
Basically, it's Augie's Strip Club. It's basically Augie's Strip Club.
What's wrong with
the
that?
closest thing to it you can make. Like Augie's is like $4.25, but it's the closest establishment to it. Like that Buzz Mart, the Copper Melt.
The Banks rock.
Yeah. So my favorite.
Adam Banks' mom she was a working woman. I don't know what you're.
So I don't know what she was doing at night, but Adam Banks, formulating his hockey career, living above Augie's Strip Club, man.
Right downtown too, man.
Yeah.
Right downtown. He was no hawk.
So yeah, and a lot of people know that anyone who loves this Mighty Ducks movie, and my God, there are a lot of Minnesotans who love this film, and I'm excited to do our final ranking when we get there. But my favorite part is the fact that 450 North Hennepin, is basically an intersection, but if you really want to get down to it, it's Augie's Strip Club.
That's amazing.
He was living above Augie's Strip Club.
Oh my God, that's actually a decent segue.
Where I spent some time myself.
Oh really?
Augie's? Oh, I've been to Augie's.
Oh,
a friend of mine once dropped his cell phone in there by accident, and I had to go retrieve it the next day.
You had to go retrieve it?
No, a friend of mine. But I've been there. I used to go there. Yeah, great wings.
Great wings,
they have amazing food there.
Great wings.
Great
Please welcome
wings.
Tammy to the stage.
Yeah. I'm just here for the articles. Just here for the articles.
This is a true professional.
So my favorite thing about this movie was just like all of the Minnesota things nostalgically. I mean, you had the Skyway. I thought they were at one point. They were skating through City Center, and Judd, you said it was also, what was the other part? The
old conservatory.
Okay.
Conservatory, which is where the Target buildings are now.
Yeah. So
they
that
tore
was
it down.
that was
Didn't work out.
amazing. There was the first scene in the movie. Was it Liquor Lyle's or Lee's Liquor Lounge that they were? I thought there was one of those two, like over by what's the one over by Target Field? I think that's Lee's Liquor Lounge.
Lee's Liquor Lounge.
That's Lee's Liquor's
Yes,
Lounge.
it is.
Liquor Lyle's in Uptown.
And just closed, right?
Yes, I
Liquor
believe it
Lyle's
did.
It's going to be sold, yeah.
Yeah.
It might, yeah.
You had Coon Rapids Ice Arena, New Hope Ice Arena,
Minnetonka Ice Arena.
Minnetonka Ice Arena. You had Mickey's Diner, the Met Center, just all of these either iconic places or just sort of random arenas, like the New Hope Ice Arena. It's kind of just a random arena.
Where did the Conways live? Because I couldn't figure out where they lived.
It's in my least favorite parts of this movie.
Okay.
I'll save it.
I'll stop.
We'll save it.
I was just curious.
Okay. Well, let's go in reverse order. We'll go back to Declan here. What was your least favorite part of this movie?
Okay, so my least favorite part is, so he lives in Minneapolis. That's clear. That's very, very clear.
Yep.
The Minnesotan in me, although loves the nostalgia and loves all the artifacts in Minnesota, I don't love the Minneapolis-St. Paul cross. So she lives in Minneapolis, but she works at Mickey's Diner.
Yeah.
As someone who grew up a St. Paul kid, I grew up in St. Paul.
Yeah.
No person lives in Minneapolis and works at Mickey's Diner.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that would work in Minneapolis and live in St. Paul and vice versa. But
correct.
And I'm not saying this to be demeaning. If you're a waitress, why would you travel all the way to St. Paul when there's a million restaurants you could work at?
And
doesn't make sense.
the fact when Bombay takes her on a date, so he is back home in Minneapolis. She has come home from work at Mickey's, and then I believe they are back at Rice Park in St. Paul at the Landmark.
Yeah.
So they went from St.
Yes,
Paul
thank you.
to Minneapolis.
I was getting really confused.
Date night back to St. Paul would never happen. And especially in the wintertime. In the wintertime, you would not be commuting back and forth twice in that span for a date night. No way that would happen. So there was some Minnesota misconnections here that really irked me because I know that would just absolutely not happen. Those are my least favorite
This is
parts.
like when Philadelphia people watch the original Rocky movie when he does his iconic run throughout the city, and they keep showing shots of him in the industrial section. Then he's running up the steps of the old library, right? And if you're not from Philadelphia, you're just like, oh, he's running through the city, and he finishes his run at the top of the hill. And somebody mapped out, like, scene by scene, okay, he's running here at this point, and he's running here. And they mapped out, if you would have made that run, it would have been like a 28-mile run.
Spoiler alert,
marathon.
Spoiler alert, too, if we do number 2, the intro is even worse to the Mighty Ducks in terms of the geographical unbelievableness that happens in the first 90 seconds.
Love it.
We should do. Let's not do it next week, but let's definitely do.
But Dex is right
at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, it doesn't make
Dex
sense.
is right.
So that's my least favorite part.
Joe, what's your least favorite part of this movie?
Dex, please play the clip that you played previously where Bombay is talking to Coach Riley.
Bunch of losers.
That's right, Coach. They are losers. We hate losers, don't we? They don't even deserve to live. Maybe you're right. Maybe banks won't make a difference. But at least we're playing by the rules.
Why'd you turn against me, Gordon? For 6 years. I taught you how to skate. I taught you how to score. I taught you how to go for the W. You could have been one of the greats. And now look at yourself. You're not even a has-been. You're a never was.
Okay, so here's the thing about this film. The writing was really weird because I thought they did some things pretty well for what they were trying to get at, okay? Case in point of a thing I liked. I like the fact that Bombay's relationship with Pacey's mom, I like the fact that basically wasn't a ton of storyline. Like, they could have developed that a little bit more, and they really didn't, which I applaud. But what Declan just played, that clip drives me crazy. It is so lazy of the writers to have, okay, here's what we're going to do. 2 of the kids are going to be behind a wall or a pole sort of listening to this. And of course, there's going to be the misinterpretation of what Gordon Bombay says. And they're going to think that he thinks that they're a bunch of heels and losers and that they're no good. But that's really not what he means. But we're going to address 2 things at once. And it's so creative. And then they're going to get mad and it's going to create a rift in the film that, come on. Like, it is so lazy. It was so stupid. I can't begin. the scene itself is absolutely fine, and it could have just been a scene, but to have, two of the players who are a little volatile are going to hear it, and it's just, I hated it. I hated it because I thought it was so lazy of the people that wrote this film.
Yeah, it was weird. Like the fact that these kids are smart enough in a lot of ways throughout the movie, right? These are
and they're street smart. They're supposed to be street smart.
Yeah, and they don't pick up on a clear argument between these two guys. And why are they even there? Like they're just randomly hiding behind a wall. Like
exactly.
It was super weird.
Are they going to the concession stand and they just hear their coach talking and decide, let's hang back here so that we can spy on Mr. Bombay?
Yeah, it was bizarre. And it kind of goes hand in hand with my least favorite thing in this movie. What is the deal with the evil career Pee Wee coach? So, he's just coached the Hawks Pee Wee team for 20 or 30 years.
And he looks the same.
He looks the same as he did.
He looks better in 91 than he did in 73.
Yeah, they couldn't have given him a beard or something. Isn't that weird? So he literally looks the same as he did 20 years earlier. Didn't they think at some point, all right, let's give him a gray beard and have him just be kind of an old codger at this point? And no, he looks
or just get a different actor to play the young coach.
That would work too. But I don't really understand. I don't understand why he's still coaching Pee Wees, and why wouldn't correct me if I'm wrong here, but wouldn't most Pee Wee coaches be fathers of kids, or it would be dads, right, or moms coaching the team?
I think so.
He's just a random guy that just coaches little 10-year-olds. It's just, I don't know.
Well, and berates them and rides them into the ground. Who wouldn't have got this guy fired at some point?
Yeah, and then there's the scenes where he tells when Adam Banks goes and plays for the Ducks and they're playing in the championship game, and he brings those two Adam's former friends over and says, "I want you to take him out, right?" And so they take him out, and he runs into the pole after hitting a goal or whatever. And so the referee takes one of the kids and I think puts him in the penalty box for 2 minutes. By the way, he just almost murdered Adam Banks on the ice.
2 minutes.
Fulton Reed comes over and just dumps a player into the bench and gets a game misconduct, and he's out of the game for good. And Hawks player almost kills Adam Banks and just gets a 2-minute minor, which is amazing. And then as Hawks player is going into the penalty box, the evil coach walks over and gives him a little high five, that's okay. So just evil Pee Wee coach for 20 years, 30 years is just a weird concept.
And he wouldn't have been fired. He didn't get fired. He wouldn't be fired at some. He is evil to these kids. And also, why did they write in the line there? So Banks gets hit, and he's clearly unconscious, or he's hurt pretty badly. And the one kid who still likes Banks says to the kid that ran him into the post, "What did you do?" And the kid says back, "My job." Why is that in there? Okay, we get the fact that these people are bad. My job. Anyway.
By the way, are the Hawks supposed to be Edina? Because they keep referring to them as cake eaters. Or
I think
Edina.
Cake eaters. I think so. That was my takeaway. Yes, because the one kid on the Ducks keeps calling Banks that. So I think you're right.
Okay, what was the least believable part of this movie? We'll go back to Declan here.
Oh my God, I have so many least believable parts here.
Fire away.
From the kids wearing warm-up hoodies and football helmets in okay, I understand it's District 5, but you're telling me you guys have to have a uniform. Charlie Conway's wearing a Gopher hockey sweatshirt.
Well, you have to have the right safety equipment.
Yeah, and safety.
And they don't have it at all.
Yeah, there's guys wearing football helmets.
Yes.
Also, the drawn-up plays. I know the flying V is cool. That doesn't work. I forget who's the girl that does the spin to distract them while she's figure skating. That doesn't work.
Yeah.
But probably my favorite one, my least believable part, is they keep showing the newspaper clippings of their big wins towards the end. I don't know if you noticed this, but on the publication it says America's #1 hockey publication. America's #1 hockey publication is covering a Pee Wee hockey league in Minnesota. Look, we are the state of hockey. Let's own that, and we love it. There is zero chance the #1 hockey publication is covering 9-year-old Pee Wee hockey tournaments. It does not happen.
Actually, that is a real publication. Let's Play Hockey is a real publication.
I know Let's Play Hockey.
Which has that tag. And yes, it is hilarious that every week all they do is cover District 5.
So Declan
like
has-
every single week.
Declan has hit on my least believable thing in this movie is just the extensive media coverage for Pee Wee hockey. Everything from
The radio? The radio calls?
game
Yes.
recaps, play-by-play of the games, and now here comes Gordon Bombay. It's like, what? It's just like in the 70s, we're just putting
It's
Pee Wee
all on the
hockey
marble
games
for the
in there.
19th. You are listening to the State Pee Wee Hockey Championship on 1500 KSDP AM. Coming up next, music.
It's hilarious. And then people, everyone has the newspaper clipping of, like, why does Hans have the newspaper clipping of Gordon missing the penalty shot?
Because you got to remember your failures. He says that.
Like, why? What do you mean?
Because he celebrates. Because he probably had cash on the opposing team. Hans was probably gambling on the opposing team to the Hawks.
I love it. And what I want to know is, like, who are the play-by-play announcers for these Pee Wee hockey? Is it on cable 12? Like what?
Dude, it was 1973. It was radio. There was no cable 12.
Anthony LaPanta just calling some Pee Wee hockey games.
Bombay?
Conway, over to Reed.
Dan Tierhard,
Conway loses the puck.
Yeah.
Carp, Reed. Carp, back to Reed, over to Conway.
Back to Fulton. Fulton fires, goes wide.
All right, so here's mine. Least believable part is so these kids suck. Like, these kids are awful. They can barely skate. And you know what? That's fine. Like, they're Pee-wees. It's not surprising. But Bombay basically decides that he likes them, embraces these kids and being their coach, and takes them to get equipment. And slowly but surely, they don't just sort of improve. So, hey, they're better. That's great. They become like elite level Pee-wee players.
Yes.
So by the end...
Wait for D2 and D3, by the way.
By the end, they are a freaking machine. They are like Shattuck St. Mary's. They are, the flying V works.
Almost good enough to make up the entire U.S. national team in a sequel coming to you soon.
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Dude, it's unreal.
But like all of a sudden, and then there were confusing things about like who was doing what. And like Deck said, the girl who's on the team, and they set up the play where she's by the goal twirling, but she's on figure skates, which I don't even know if you can wear in hockey.
You can't.
Okay, so she's on those skates, and unless I missed it, I saw her be recruited onto the team, but I really didn't see her playing a role before she suddenly serves as a distraction. But the fact that these kids could barely stand up on skates and then get equipment, and it somehow morphs them into the 1980 U.S. Olympic team, to me, I struggled with a little bit. I do think this to me was written as originally the Bad News Bears for hockey, and Disney said, oh, no, it's going to be happier than that.
Yeah.
Because like Gordon Bombay, and we'll talk about the acting ability of Estevez here, but Gordon Bombay shares a lot of the same issues as Buttermaker did in Bad News Bears. But Mathau's a great actor. And Emilio Estevez, not so much, but I really think the characters were supposed to be sort of the same, crusty, sort of drunken, lives falling apart, kids help them. But it wasn't supposed to be probably as positive as what Disney did to the Mighty Ducks.
I remember, it's funny, like watching this back last night. It's been at least 10 years since I've seen this movie. And I remember in my head Emilio Estevez being a much better actor than he was in this movie. Just because of all the big movies he was in. I mean, not all of them. He was in a handful of big movies, I guess, including The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
the Brat Pack movies.
Yeah.
And he was just a really bad actor in this movie, I guess.
I don't think he could carry a film.
He couldn't carry a film, but I also don't think that he thought this was going to be a big movie. In fact, there are reports that say like he's kind of shocked at how much this defines his career. Yeah, and it really is. It's the defining. I think this defines his career more than Breakfast Club does. All right, who are we still on least believable thing? I think
we all know the votes there. Yep, we're good.
Okay, what's before we get to some of the other categories here, I want to throw out a couple things at you guys quick. So NHL comparisons I want from you guys, from Judd's Hockey Show. NHL comparisons for, let's start with Adam Banks. NHL comp for Adam Banks.
Well, he's supposed to be Gretzky.
Right, yeah.
99, because he wears the jersey. But he's not. He's not. You know what? Dex, I think he's okay. He's good. I don't think he's great. I mean, he's playing with kids who 3 months before could barely stand up on skates.
Is he Fiala?
No, I know. You know what I think? Reality check? Probably like Ryan Hartman. The reality check of Banks. He's probably Ryan Hartman.
What?
He's
No,
Ryan Hartman.
that's an insult to Banks. What are you talking about?
Banks
Overrated.
Is a stud, man. Banks
No,
is
he's
a
supposed
stud.
to be. What I'm saying, overrated. He's the next one who's going to end up with a broken life, having drank too much in community service.
Is that Ryan Hartman?
Why do you think that?
Because he's not that good. He's not as good as he thinks he is.
I think he's the best player in the movie.
Banks is the best player in the
He's
entire
supposed
franchise.
to be. He's supposed to be.
He's very clearly going to play in the NHL someday.
Yeah.
I am serving a reality check to say no, he's not.
All right, NHL comp for Fulton Reed.
Go ahead, Declan.
Big defenseman who's got a big slapper, but doesn't really. I can see some Bufflin in him. Like, he's a big dude. He's got a big slap shot. Bufflin hasn't played in a couple years for personal reasons, but I can see some Dustin Bufflin in his game. What do you think, Judd? Who was another defenseman that pops
Dustin
in with,
Bufflin
a
was
heart?
pretty good. This guy has a good slap shot, but
He
he
rack
really
up some
can't
penalty
skate.
minutes. He's an enforcer who's got a little offense.
Bugard.
But Bugard didn't have a shot. Like Bugard's
I know, but this kid's
priority was to throw hands.
But this kid's a goon. I mean, he tossed a kid into the bench. He lifted him up and tossed him to the bench.
What
He's a
about
goon.
Charlie Conway?
Zach Parise.
I was gonna say Zach Parise.
It's
Not
Zach
the most
Parise.
skilled, but he's gritty,
Right.
great leader.
Yeah, that's probably
He
good.
always chokes, right? Is that? I think that's the line. No, that's the line.
I
that
did
uses
not
the
say
Conway.
that, Zach.
That's the
That was
line.
Declan Goff.
That's the line. One of the kids uses the Conway at the first
yeah,
practice
but you just
or
said
game.
it in relation. You said Zach Parise, and then he always chokes.
Well,
whoa.
I mean,
you thought I was being mean to
where's the-
Ryan Hartman?
Where's the evidence? He went to the finals once and has made it to the second round.
I did not see that coming.
By the way,
Always
Charlie
chokes.
Conway definitely didn't choke on that penalty shot, though.
No, he didn't, though.
Top
He made it
shelf.
like his coach did.
Yeah, that's true.
Have you worked on your move? How about you finish what you started?
One production note here. Jake Gyllenhaal turned down the role of Charlie Conway. Emilio Estevez was cast in 1991 as the director was impressed by his performances in Brat Pack films, The Outsiders, The Breakfast Club, and St. Elmo's Fire from the mid-1980s.
I've got two notes off of that right here, Phil Mackey, because I was so intrigued by this film. Jake Gyllenhaal's parents stopped him from taking the role. His parents put their foot down and said, no, you're too young. And Charlie Sheen, Emilio Estevez's brother, was originally offered the Bombay role.
Wow.
According to the notes I've got here, he was offered the role for Gordon Bombay, but turned it down, and Emilio Estevez, his brother, took the role later on.
Funny.
I could totally see that. Like I'm just
So could I.
envisioning his character in Major League, but as a hockey coach. I could totally see that. One other note on this here, just Gordon's relationship with Charlie's mom is super weird. Like she hates him at the beginning, and then there's that whole scene where I think it's the Rice Park scene where she's fantasizing about living in an ice castle, and that's my room up there, and then I gave Charlie that room, and then Gordon, Gordon's like, oh, which room can I have? And just an easy transition of like the topic, right? Well, what room can I have? And she stares at him like, what? Why are you already thinking about our future together? You can't just come into our lives and envision us living in this ice castle together. What are you doing?
She's very jaded. She's very jaded. I feel like there was a story arc for her that didn't get told, like about the ex.
I'm good with that, by the way.
Yeah, by the way.
I am too. No, I actually, my favorite part about the relationships in this film was the fact that they didn't develop that one too much. I was really, because they could have done way more with it. I was so happy. There was no obligatory sex scene. There was none of that. I was very happy about that.
Actually, would this have been
Disney.
the weirdest if they would have thrown in an obligatory sex scene between Gordon Bombay and Charlie's mom about 2/3 of the way through? Would it have been the weirdest, most out of place? Like just like a 7-minute, just uncomfortable.
God.
And then boom, they're back at the rink.
7 minutes. Jesus.
Yeah, what? I mean, he must be a champion if
good
it's
for
7
him.
minutes. If you can give him 7 minutes in a film, I know a lot of people that really look up to Emilio Estevez.
He is Gordon Bombay. All right.
Game of Thrones doesn't even go 7 minutes. I mean, that's vulgar. That's a lot.
Vulgar.
all right.
Not vulgar.
The last couple categories here, boys. So we've done the villain rankings in Action Movie Rewind. We've done the relationship rankings in Rom-Com Rewind. We're gonna do the believability of the sports action alone rankings here. And so we're looking for a score 1 through 10, just the believability of the sports action alone as a category. 1 through 10, Judd.
Well, if it was based on the Hawks and their play, I'd give it a 9 because the Hawks looked very real. But unfortunately, it's not. It's a two-sided story here. I'm going to give it a 3. It gets
That's
a 3.
actually pretty generous.
There was a figure skater to the side. Well, but keep in mind too, in the last 2 months we have watched a film that had a Knicks-Kings NBA Finals. Okay,
It's true. That's true.
With
so I've been out on the
Lawrence Funderburg in the last minute.
Bobby Jackson. So I'll give it a 3 because some of it was the one thing that I thought was hilarious though was when Conway takes the penalty shot to win the entire thing, and he doesn't wear his helmet. Like it's just off. Like it's like
also,
circa 1971 National Hockey League.
The cockiness of Conway to do like 4 circles before he takes the puck. Like it's one thing. Like I could see an NHL player doing that, like just doing a couple circles, getting ready to go. But like Charlie, this is a peewee game. Slow your jets, bro. Like cool your jets a little bit here, man. Like you've also
but
usually
he's got no helmet on. Like,
I love that though. I love that.
No, but it's hilarious. It's peewee hockey. You'd be tossed out for that.
Some great hockey. Charlie Conway with some great hockey hair. Great hockey.
3 for me.
Yeah, the believability. Yeah, I think honestly, I'm gonna cop out and say 3 as well. I mean, also Goldberg, and if we do number 2, we will find why Goldberg's even a more flawed goalie, and why the belief in Goldberg is just not.
So he doesn't move to Philadelphia? Like
he doesn't.
What?
Spoiler alert, he doesn't.
Why did they put that line in the movie then? Like you didn't even
and
need
let's
that
just
line.
say another goaltender gives him a run for his money and is clearly the better netminder.
Oh, Jim Craig shows up,
going forward. Yeah, seriously, like he is Janusek. Like yeah, Janusek won you a national championship. Like we're not playing for a national championship here. Craig.
Oh, that's a great. I love that line.
But at the same time, yeah, like there's roller skating. He basically takes this band of misfits, and also the scene where he first meets the team. I don't think that's a pond. Like it looks like everyone's like, oh, you can't go on the ice. That's the ice. It's like, is that that looks like a field that you just flooded?
What park is that?
A Pearl. I think it's Pearl Park in Minneapolis. I think it's Pearl Park.
Is there a pond there or no?
I know there's a bunch of baseball fields there. I've never seen an ice. Oh, yes, there is. That's where Hockey Day. Well, I don't know if it's the exact site where Hockey Day was in Minneapolis in 2020, but
I thought that was a parade.
I think it's. Well, that is Parade. Yes, that Hockey Day was Parade.
Okay.
But I think we're there. I think that's Pearl because it's the skyline view. I mean, yeah, I think that's Pearl Park.
Dumb
I played
question.
baseball games there.
Where's Pearl Park?
Right off 394 and Penn. So you turn right.
I drive by it every day.
Yeah, you literally. It's the first exit off Penn, off 394. You turn right.
It's a very
bunch
nice
of ball
area.
fields.
With some nice houses over there.
Yeah,
some great
really nice
baseball
place.
fields. Yeah.
But it's
you should get out and explore Minneapolis once in a while.
Seriously, guy.
That's hilarious. I drive by that park then on a daily basis.
It's a 3.
So it's a 3 for you guys. It's a 2 for me. I mean, my God, like the only realistic thing in this movie was Adam Banks just being a really good kid hockey player. So
the Hawks are realistic. They're really good.
Yeah, I mean that's
like their
goaltender
looks the part.
Yeah, so it's a 2 for me, and that makes it a 2.7 when you take the 3 scores into consideration. So 2.7 out of 10 on believability of sports action. Okay, now it's just the movie rated by entertainment value, 1 through 10. Judd,
I'm going to give it a 6.
Okay,
it's a 6. It was fine. It was. If it hadn't been a Disney production, I actually think it's higher because the Bombay character then probably is a little bit more real and jaded, which I would have liked personally. but I'll go 6. I enjoyed it. I'm not sorry I didn't watch it for 30 years.
Okay. Dex?
Again, I think the Minnesotans love this. This is gospel to them. Seriously, this movie is gospel to them. Hockey fans especially. I shouldn't say all Minnesotans, but hockey fans, this is gospel to them. And a bunch of kids my age, because this came out in 92. I was born in 92. If you're from that era, you're a 90s baby. Like, this is one of the iconic sports movies. That being said, it's a very flawed film, dude. It is not that great of a movie. So I'm still going to give this a 7. Which is generous, in my opinion. It's generous for how much I'm talking smack about it, but it's fine, and I like to rewatch it again because it reminds me of being a kid, and it's Minnesota, so if I wasn't from Minnesota, it's probably lower, honestly. It probably is, but it's a 7. It's not a great movie. It's good. I'm glad I watched it again for the first time in a while, but it's a 7.
So I think being from Minnesota and just it's a Minnesota movie. I mean, there's a few of these, and I'll get you a list of options for the next one, which also includes a Minnesota movie. But it's an 8 for me. I think, obviously, the believability is very low. But if you can just put aside the believability of the sports for a second. It's entertaining from two perspectives. It's sort of just a popcorn candy, predictable sports movie. But it's also entertaining because there's so many unintentional laughs and bad acting, and so it's one of those movies that I just love to watch whenever it happens to be on. So it's an 8 for me, which makes it a 7 average score between the three of us for The Mighty Ducks. Boys, I think we should do another sports movie next week. I think we should go on a little run of sports movies here and give the people what they want. And because it's baseball season, I have 3 baseball sports movies from similar era, like late 80s to the mid 90s. I want to throw these
For
three
Love
out
of the Game is
somewhere.
out. I'm not doing that. That's late
90s. We'll get to that at some point. We will do that one at some point.
Just awful.
Okay.
He flirts with a perfect game.
The mechanism.
So I want to throw these 3 out, and then we can discuss and maybe pick one at random, okay? So the original Major League from 1989.
Okay.
Sandlot. And then Minnesota-based Little Big League from 1994.
Ooh, I like all these movies. Honestly, I'm cool with any of these
Sandlot's
three. Sandlot's a classic.
I almost feel like we should do some.
Yeah.
Because I think I would praise Sandlot. I think it's great.
Then I think the best one for the purposes of this
Little Big League
is Little Big League.
Yeah.
Yeah, may as well keep going.
I've only seen parts of this film. I have never seen the whole thing.
Young Valley Fair. Big Valley Fair part in this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, pre-Wild Thing. I think Valley Fair. That's how it's like when it was like one of the first year Valley Fairs opened. I think.
Yep, this is early Valley Fair. All right, so we're doing Little Big League next week for Minnesota or for Sports Movie Rewind. It really is Minnesota Sports Movie Rewind because
Little
the back-to-back
League.
Minnesota.
Let's just do all films from here. There's a ton of films
Minnesota
shot
films?
here. Yes.
Yeah, what's Jingle All the Way? Wasn't that shot here too?
Yeah, that was shot up. We almost did that.
What was the Christian Slater one? Baboon Heart or something? Do you guys recall that one?
No, I don't think
It was right after I think it was right after he did Heathers, which is an absolute classic film. I think, and he shot a film here. I think this state had better tax breaks in the 90s for films.
Yeah,
must have.
No, I'm dead serious.
I think it did too.
I'm not joking. I think we
right.
had tax breaks here that might have gone away.
Yeah.
Let's get them back. I love Hollywood.
Well, there it is. That's Judd's first ever viewing of The Mighty Ducks.
I'm glad I saw it.
We'll put D2 on the list at some point because I
I'll wait
think
30 years.
that one might even have more fodder for us. D2.
How bad is it?
It's flawed.
Yeah.
It's flawed.
I love how Declan now has to pick apart things from his childhood and just admit that they were probably crap. And it's painful because he can't help himself. He has to do it, but he just like covers his eyes and says stuff like it was flawed.
Oh God, Julie the cat. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, we got to run. That's a wrap on Mackey and Judd for today. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel, SKOR North MN and Purple Daily Podcast for daily Vikings conversations. We'll see you guys later.